What's up guys, it's Cabal here from Team Alias, and I'm here today to do another Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath video commentary. And this game, it features SteveNash number 13 and Green 0. So this was a random versus random. I found this on the popular replays tab, and it had like over 90 downloads and 8 wubs, so it needs a VOD. And I figured I might VOD this game, so I said to players before in random versus random games. So this is SteveNash number 13 playing as Zocom. And we jump over to see Green 0 has got a GDI type of faction, and we all know who's good with GDI, so not sure if it's going to be. I think SteveNash said it's Zocom versus Zocom, and we'll see if he's right. And he is right, it's Zocom versus Zocom, so see that both players are going to go to see if they get the tip spikes. Green 0 is only going to go for one spike. He sent 3 reference squads down the center of the map, and one in down to the bottom. For SteveNash, he's sending 2 to the bottom spikes, and he is sending 1 to the top and none in the middle. So this will give SteveNash Green 0 the opportunity to go down the middle and spread his scouts around all over the place. And you see that actually both players are not going to go for the bottom 2 spikes. They only went for their main 2 spikes at home. So Green 0 has a nice line of reference squads here, but he didn't send any scouts to the top, so SteveNash is going to bypass them really quickly, and looks like Green 0 is just going to split them off. One is going to go into this garrison structure right here, and I think SteveNash is going to build a foxhole just to be safe, just to see if they can get engineers. And there's a tower that's been placed up by SteveNash, and it's been sold off because that reference squad's been destroyed. And it looks like Green 0 is going to garrison this garrison structure here with 2 reference squads. Actually, no, he's not. He's going to go use this to go around this area here, which is a good idea. SteveNash, meanwhile, is sending 1 reference squad to this garrison structure right here, and he has dug a foxhole, and he is going to get the foxhole. Yes, he is going to get the foxhole, and that is always going to be so confusing. Green 0 sells it off immediately. He doesn't want to bother with the low power, and that's a good idea. Because once you foxhole, there's no point in keeping a watchtower if you're placing a refinery. But SteveNash hasn't placed the refinery yet, which is quite surprising. Now he placed it, and now it's just going to be placing another power plant or something. He powers it down. And what is Green 0 doing? Green 0 is what you usually expect him to do. He's on 2 power plants, but he's not packing up his MCV. Looks like he's trying to do some micro or something with his reference squads. But it looks like he's finally packing up his MCV, and which way is he going to go? He's going to go down to the bottom tip field, which is what usually most of the players do. So SteveNash is attacking Green 0's spike, but Green 0 is not attacking SteveNash's spike, which is quite interesting. But yeah, slowly whittling down the health of that Tiberian spike. And SteveNash is moving his MCV down to the bottom tip field, and now he's at 5 and 2, and Green 0 is at 5 and 2 as well. And the 6th harvester should be coming out. Actually, that's an APC, not a harvester. Actually, look at this. Green 0 places MCV again. It looks like he wants to go capture the 2 bottom spikes down below. Now that he knows he secured him, he can go capture him. So he's building 2 APCs with engineers in them, and he's powered down his barracks just in case that SteveNash wants to go for like a pitbull attack or something. But it's not the case right now. And this is a pitbull. Yes, it is a pitbull, and it's going to be going down to the bottom. That reference squad has been taken out by SteveNash, and actually there's a foxhole that he placed, which is a good idea. And now the construction area is about to build a refinery, and Green 0 is just getting to his Tiberian field and should deploy his MCV right then and there. And here comes the APCs with engineers. SteveNash should definitely know that there's engineers in those APCs, and that's why he's sending in some pitbulls to help take out the APCs, but I think they will not be able to make it unless Green 0 places some mines, which he does right there. And oh, he does take out the pitbull, and that was great micro there by Green 0. And his engineer is going to get back in the APC, and now that engineer is going to capture the tip spike, no problems. There is no hope in hell that pitbull will take out the engineer. Although Green 0 has to be careful now because this APC is almost dead, but the pitbull goes down first, and that engineer is free to take on those tip spikes. So now Green 0 has 3 tip spikes to SteveNash's 1. See a small pitbull attack force coming here from Green 0, but it's quickly going to be distinguished by these watchtowers. And now these pitbulls are from SteveNash, are just going to be camping out at the second expansion, which is a good thing because you don't want any pitbulls raiding into your base and killing some stuff. Yes, that's right, killing stuff. And I think that's why French Squad wanted to scout into Green Zero's base, but Green Zero wouldn't allow it. Now he's just going for a Pitbull Swarm, like most Zocom players do. They go for Pitbulls, and nothing else in the beginning of the game, actually. Well, they can go for, like, airfields, but honestly, I haven't seen Green Zero play enough Zocom. Because nowadays he just plays Steel Talent, or not Steel Talents, he plays GDI, so he loves those Shatter tanks, and he loves to build those units and just go raid Pitbulls and bases and stuff like that. So 3 Pitbulls here are from SteveNash, and they're going to go straight into the base of Green Zero, which Green Zero has nothing here. He has no War Factory or Pitbulls to defend his harvesters, and he's going to have to do something really quickly. So he builds a Watchtower, and now I think he's probably going to lose a Harvester, because this Harvester is docked, and you can't do anything about docked Harvesters because they're bugs. Sometimes they're bugged, but not often. But that Harvester goes down. And over here we see that there's a lot of Pitbulls here from Green Zero, and they're going to go into the base of SteveNash, where SteveNash himself doesn't have that much forces. He just placed down a barracks so he can get down some rifleman squads. And these watchtowers, which is doing all the defending, here too in that rocket harvester is definitely going to go down. And look, some Pitbull reinforcements are from SteveNash going to come into the second expansion and help take out these Pitbulls, although he did lose his harvester, so that's a loss there. But that harvester just has enough health to be alive. How is that even possible? I'm not sure. But I think that SteveNash only lost 1 harvester, maybe 1 harvester, yes, and Green Zero almost lost 2 harvesters, but he's getting at that harvester to that war factory, getting some repairs, which is what you need. Now Green Zero's at tier 2 with this command post, and he's not upgrading AP ammo, which you should get AP ammo, especially if you're Zocom and or Steel Talents. And SteveNash upgraded his AP ammo already, because you can see that supply stashes beside the command post. And I think Green Zero hasn't seen that he has AP ammo yet, because he didn't build any AP ammo units. Although he can see that his towers are now that AP ammo status, and the tech lab is out, and he's upgrading, I believe, mortar upgrades. I wouldn't believe he would get tungsten right now. And the surveyor is out in the field now. Maybe going to go for this green Tiberian field over here. But up here we see that there's Green Zero's Pitbulls are going into the base of SteveNash. Oh, look at the mortars! They do a ton of damage, taking out a couple of Pitbulls there for the cause. You've got to make sure that when you're using mortars, you don't use it on your own units or stuff, or your own Pitbulls, because they can do splash damage if you're not careful. And Green Zero now is switching tactics and getting some infantry out of those barracks. And he's at tier 3 himself, and he's upgrading mortars as well, so both players are completely mirrored. Pitbulls and infantry with mortar upgrades, and SteveNash loses his surveyor there, so that's 1,500 credits down the drain, and he's going to have to build another one. I think he's going to build another one, maybe. I'll keep an eye on my radar and see if he does build another one. But Pitbulls are now beside the blue expansion. I think the blue has been harvested by Green Zero. He's been harvesting it with these harvesters, and now the mortar upgrade is done for Green Zero, and he's going to bring his Pitbulls down to the bottom of the map where SteveNash is set up with his missile squads. And I think he didn't see these Pitbulls anywhere, but there's a lot of Pitbulls up there, and there's Pitbulls down here. So Green Zero is running distractions with his APCs and rifleman squads. Meanwhile, these harvesters are going to be coming in and destroying a ton of these harvesters. So there goes one harvester, and these AP ammo towers are just popping up out of the ground like weeds in a garden to try to take out these Pitbulls. And SteveNash is doing his best to try to micro his rocket harvesters away from those Pitbulls. And he did lose 2 harvesters, so that's not good. And I think I've seen a reclamator hub being placed by SteveNash, so we're going to be seeing that's not a Marv building out. That's probably another Pitbull or something. Because yeah, he doesn't have a war factory. He didn't place a war factory down here. He sold it and placed down a reclamator hub. So that's interesting. Green Zero has placed his own reclamator hub, and he is building the Marv. Would be surprised if he placed some zone raiders in there, along with a couple of engineers. But we'll see what he does. And look at this, a mammoth tank out for SteveNash, and he's going to be doing a number on these Pitbulls, taking out in a couple of shots along with the missiles. And it's a bad thing for mammoth tanks that they don't have those railguns, because that would make them a hell of a lot more powerful. 2 shots from those railgun mammoth tanks can just destroy a pitbull. But even without the railguns, the mammoth tank is still pretty powerful. But you got to make sure to bring some, excuse me, some AP ammo, infantry AP ammo units with it, like APCs and reference squads. Otherwise, the mammoth tank has to crush, and it's very slow. But SteveNash did go for another surveyor, and he placed down a refinery at the green expansion. And both players have their Marvs out. SteveNash is placing in 3 zone raiders, and Green Zero has 2 zone raiders and 2 engineers in that Marv. Green Zero is going to go for, this is SteveNash went for 3 zone raiders with 1 engineer, and I'm pretty sure that Green Zero is going to be at this expansion hunting down some harvesters, and he does see 1 harvester at this refinery down here, and he's using look at that, the harvester is stuck in the refinery. That is funny. But Green Zero is still firing at the harvester and doing some damage to the refinery along with it. The Marv is closely making its way towards SteveNash's 3rd expansion, but SteveNash is building some rocket squads and just spraying those pitbulls. That pitbull goes down, and that Marv is now going to be using those zone raiders, just absolutely deadly. And SteveNash doesn't have the Tiberian field suits yet. He rebuilt his command posts. I think he sold it off. No, he has 2 command posts. Why would he need 2 command posts? Well, that's maybe for ground control. That's probably a ground control. But so it's gonna be Marv versus Marv. But oh no, where's the space command uplink? There it is, right there. And that Marv is powered down. No thanks to that shockwave, and that shockwave powered down. And this is, oh no, there's an orbital drop. And that's going to take down. That's going to be doing some damage to the Marv as well. But SteveNash has got some grenadier squads with those. Oh, they finally have tip suits now with those EMP grenades, and they have the EMP to Green Zero's Marv. But Green Zero has his own missile squads with their own tip field suits, and SteveNash is just going to keep EMPing the Marv. But he has to watch out that his Marv doesn't get destroyed by these rocket infantry. So it's actually going to be a pretty intense match. And SteveNash has the advantage here because he can place AP ammo towers, and then they can destroy all Green Zero's infantry as they roll in from the south. With this nice line of forces, and the MCV is on the move. Is that a 2nd MCV? Nope, looks like his 1st MCVs. And Green Zero is desperate for money. He's sending all his harvesters back to his main Tiberian field, where the only remaining Tiberian that he can harvest is there, and his refinery is almost dead, and his harvesters are stopped now. They need to get back to work immediately, and that Green Zero's Marv goes down with the helping hand of those F grenades, and now the Marv from SteveNash is moving closer and closer to Green Zero's base, and Green Zero MCV is way up there. Looks like he wants to avoid the huge armada of infantry and Marv. SteveNash is still continuing his rocket production, and he is 4 and 2 down here, 1 and 1 up there, and 1 and 1 over here. And SteveNash calling in the GDI Airborne, which will help out his army. Green Zero's MCV is stuck up there. It's going to be moving right. It's moving right now, and here comes. Oh, look at that, a commando! Hey, a commando! But that commando is probably going to go down because those camo forces are just too powerful. Actually, no, he still is alive, and Green Zero is doing his best to micro that commando to take down as many Requiem squads as possible. And I think that commando may be able to go down, maybe not. If you can focus on those rocket reference squads, not rocket squads, squads. And Green Zero bringing his bringing in harvesters to try to crush those EMP grenaders and rocket squads and reference squads. And that commando is destroyed. No, that commando's still alive, but now it's just getting absolutely demolished by that Marv. And Green Zero has snuck in his MCV to the top here and placed down an airfield. Wonder what he's going to be building there, but Green Zero has rebuilt his Marv and has one single zone raider squad in there, and he has another zone raider squad using the jump jet, using the special ability, which is the zone pack with the forgot what the thing's called, jump jet, to get closer to the Marv, so then he can just place it in the Marv as quick as possible. And now that Green Zero is he's calling in his own version of the GDA Airborne, and SteveNash doesn't know about this yet. He's building some hammerheads, and they don't have that ceramic armor because he's in a little bit of trouble right now. Another harvester going down, and SteveNash is rolling into Green Zero's base, his second expansion, and his tech lab is... He should probably sell his tech lab because it's going to get destroyed, so might as well sell it for money. But his power is low, and sells the command post. His Zone GD Airborne drops off his Rifleman squads and rocket squads, and SteveNash still doesn't know about it yet. And Green Zero is building a new base up at the top here, and SteveNash still doesn't know about it yet. He's just focusing on Green Zero's second expansion, where Green Zero is doing his best to destroy these raiding GDI forces, and SteveNash is placing down mines as the APC dies, just to get a little bit more damage done. But he has to be careful with his jump grenades because those AP ammo towers are very deadly to infantry. And what is this? Green Zero has got up his hammerheads and with those ceramic armor, and they are attacking SteveNash's harvesters. 2 harvesters go down, and already the Rifleman squad is at elite status. And SteveNash was not expecting this, and Green Zero even placed a refinery there to help harvest some Tiberium, and an AA battery defense is placed down, and these 2 hammerheads are very heavily damaged. Should probably go back to the airfield for some repairs, but here comes the infantry armada from SteveNash, and they're just going to attack the construction yard. But this is the opportunity for Green Zero to get his Morph back up to full health and train as many infantry as possible to go and destroy this force here. And these rocket squads have destroyed that harvester, so no more Tiberium harvesting for Green Zero at the moment, and Green Zero and SteveNash even bringing a slingshot, crushing those 2 squads of riflemen, and they were veteran. Don't forget about that. And Green Zero bringing his hammerheads to try to take down the slingshot. Even the AP ammo tower is doing the best, and it will definitely go down. And Green Zero just using these hammerheads with full effect, just destroying as many infantry as possible. But here comes the Green Zeros, or this is SteveNash's Marv, which is at veteran status, and a ton of infantry. The hammerheads have to do as much damage as they possibly can to try to take down the rocket squads. Focus on the rocket squads, and then focus on the amp grenades, then the rifleman squads. But Green Zero lost. He lost a couple of hammerheads, and he's not focused firing on the rocket squads, which he does need to. And that airfield goes down. The Marv is still alive, and the MCB is definitely going to go down, no question there. I think Green Zero would be a good idea for Green Zero to sell it now because he can get a couple of bucks off of it. But I don't think he's going to do that. Just going to let it die and let that hammerhead squad take out as much infantry as possible. But here comes a slingshot and takes down the power plant and another power plant. SteveNash is rolling in the money with his third expansion here, but he lost like what, 2 harvesters, 3 harvesters? I can't remember. He still has 2 down here, and he can probably sell. He can probably sell a couple of defenses here. I don't think it would matter. Green Zero is bringing in his Marv right here, along with some Rifleman squad defense. At least he has some support for the Marv. He's bringing in Rifleman squads. Definitely, he needs Rifleman squads to destroy these rocket squads that Green Zero, that SteveNash has. So these slingshots are no use to Green Zero at the moment. And look at that, Green Zero placed a crane so he can still build structures. That is a very smart idea. And oh no, shockwave, and this is SteveNash's shockwave, and we'll get the Marv, and those slingshots could just go right over the infantry, no problems there. Even Green Zero doing some foxholes, and Green Zero, or this is SteveNash, he also emptied his slingshot. And Green Zero's Marv is about to go down, but he has some rocket squads. He needs to focus the Rifleman squads on the rocket infantry so that they won't get destroyed. But even the Marv is doing some damage, and more F grenades goes off, emptying the Marv. And the Marv has been destroyed, and a heroic missile squad there. And it's pretty cool how heroic missile squads can fire red rockets. That's awesome. And everybody knows that red is my favorite color. That's why I play a lot with it in Kane's Wrath. Pony knows what I'm talking about because I play Every time I play with Iponu, he's green and I'm red. Perfect Christmas colors. The slingshot is going into the base of green 0 and bang! Goes down. Looks like green 0 is trying to get another Marv out. He's still harvesting Tiberium. He has a ton of harvesters out here. Even the sneaky mines there placed down by SteveNash. SteveNash's Marv is at elite status and it's about half health, a little under half health. Single repair path there, and I think green 0 is going to be getting on another Marv, so this will be his third Marv. And green 0 just rolling in the money. He's getting a lot. He's still harvesting off the Tiberium field, and the third Marv is now for green 0. And it's going to be placed with what? Green 0 has something here. It is an armory station. So are we going to be seeing another GDI airborne or something? Wouldn't be surprised because green 0 loves to use that support power when he's GDI, dropping down some rocket squads and rocket squads. But I don't think that's the case. And oh no, green 0's rocket harvesters are being destroyed by these rockets from SteveNash, and SteveNash just the voxel there didn't work. And that heroic from the squad is be causing a ton of damage. Green 0 has a Zone Trooper squad and Rocket squad, but lucky for SteveNash, he has those M grenades and he empts the Marv again. But he only has one Grenadier squad here, so it's not going to be emptying the Marv. But it did do a ton of damage to the Marv, and SteveNash using the X split strategy on to try to make sure his forces don't get squashed by harvesters or wandering Marvs. That squad is just heroic squad is just gonna get crushed. Even these look at these squads, they're frozen, they're glitched. I don't think SteveNash may have them on a whole fire stance or something. I have no idea. Probably not. And oh no, SteveNash is being a real pest and dropping down a GDI pod. And with the 3 veteran zone troopers, this is it for green 0. Green 0 is selling off as many structures as he can to hopefully stop these zone raiders, but zone raiders do a ton of damage to infantry buildings and rockets. And oh, looks like SteveNash bringing in his own commando just to be last. And green 0 has been defeated, so a fairly nice Zocom versus Zocom game there, Zocom mirror match. Okay, so let's check the units graph. We see that green 0 at about the 7-minute mark had a ton of infantry and pit bulls and stuff that they just went down as soon as they hit those AP ammo towers, and that's just as well he went to down with his infantry. For structures, it was all SteveNash. For resources, it was pretty even until about the 7-minute mark when green 0 went up when he stole that blue Tiberium, and he even was up here. He even went up as well with that extra green field that he made up. Then he just started leveling out there, and that allowed SteveNash to win the resource standings. For the stats, it was 142 to SteveNash and 0.63 to green 0. Favorite unit was Missile Squad and Pitbull, and 150,860 to SteveNash and 146,369 to green 0. So that's another $10,000 more for SteveNash, and match length was 20 minutes, 22 seconds. Okay, so there's your game on Tournament Rift, and I hope you all enjoyed that VOD. And my name is Cabal, and I'll see you guys on next time.